I get asked all the time, what is your secret to make your webcam look so good? And the first secret is that it's not a regular webcam. The second secret is that I spent 12 years as a commercial cinematographer working on projects for Apple, Walmart, Bose, and brands like that. And there's a level of care about imagery that I like to bring to everything I do. So what you're looking at right now is my webcam setup. If you called me on FaceTime right now or you pulled me up on Zoom, this is what you would get. And it's a few simple pieces of gear that make that possible. I don't believe in gatekeeping, so I'm going to go through and show you guys every piece of the puzzle that goes into making an incredibly cinematic live streaming webcam setup. Okay, so the single most important piece is that you need one of these little capture cards, which you can get for 10 or 20 bucks off of Amazon. But this little adapter allows you to plug an HDMI cable out of any camera with an HDMI out into your computer and have it show up as a webcam. So no matter what budget you're on, if you have any sort of camera with a clean HDMI out, one of these little $10 or $20 capture cards will make a huge difference. And if you're already a filmmaker or photographer, you probably already have a camera, and this is the only piece you're missing. I gotta be honest with you guys, that's where the accessibility is gonna break a little bit because again, I've been doing this for a long time, and so I have some fancy toys. You don't need toys this fancy, but I'm gonna run you through exactly what I'm using here in these next few steps. Okay, so it starts out with the camera. This is a Sony A1 Mark II. This camera is about $6,500. It shoots 8K video. It does 120 frames per second. None of that is relevant as a webcam, but it's what we have, and so it's what we're using. I previously used an A7 Mark IV. You can use an FX6. You can use a Fuji X-T3. You can use anything with a clean HDMI out, but we have a big bad boy. Now, most people would use something like this. This is the new Sony 28-70 2.0 zoom lens. It has autofocus, it's incredibly sharp, and it's a beautiful lens, but sharpness and autofocus are not always the most cinematic thing. So we decided to take it a step farther and use one of these Atlas Lens Co. Mercury Anamorphic. So you can see another one here. And these lenses, as you can tell, are a little funky. It's not quite as circular as normal. And that's because it's actually squeezing the image internally, and then you have to de-squeeze it after the fact to make it look normal. So that's part of why this image is so wide, is because of the lens that we're using. Now, again, you don't need an anamorphic lens. You can use any old lens and any old camera, but we're stepping it up and using an A1 Mark II and this Atlas Lens Co. anamorphic lens, and that's part of what gives us all of this crazy character in the image. Now, no matter what sort of lens you're using, it only is as good as the lighting and the things that you put in front of it. So one of the most important cheap fixes here is I painted this wall, which cost $30 or something, but this wall used to be white and there was no contrast, there was no separation, it looked bad. So I painted this wall this dark blue color to give me a little bit of separation from the background, and then I added these art pieces to give us a little bit more color cohesion in the piece. None of that has to be expensive, but it makes a massive difference. And then the next piece is lighting, so we're using this IntelliTech Lightcloth Mega as a key light, and then we have some cheap practicals in the background, and I'm going to walk you through what each of those is doing right now. Now, the easiest way to demonstrate the lighting is to show you step by step. So I'm going to turn things off first. So first we're going to turn off the IntelliTech, and then we're going to turn off these two background lights. And these are nothing fancy. This is just a normal Amazon light fixture right here, which is on a little dimmer, which you can get for like $10 from Amazon. Then over here, we have another little IKEA lamp, which is also probably 30 bucks. And these lights add a little bit of warmth and some separation in the background, but as you can see, I look kind of like a ghost, which isn't really working. So we're gonna have to pull on that IntelliTech light. And that's giving us a nice, soft, balanced light across my face. I like some contrast so it's not too fronty, and also it would get in the way of the monitors here if it was too fronty. But the last piece of the puzzle that a lot of people wouldn't tell you about is we have our camera here, we have my main monitor here, but then on the secondary monitor, you might notice my eyes are a little dead. And so what I'll do is I'll pull up just an image, little white image on this screen, and that image, the reflection of that image in my eye generates that little white highlight. So if we get rid of the image, and I'm going to go bring it back. So here's no eye light. That goes faster than I thought. No eye light. It's a little hack that just helps everything pop. And eye light is one of the big things that you can pay attention to if you want to take your images from to excellent. So that's it for this setup. And again, the most important point of this is that it is accessible whatever level you're at. As long as you have a camera, you can get a capture card and get it into your setup. When I started out doing this when I was 18 years old, I remember that a Canon Nifty 50 lens, which was $99, was a big process for me to save up. And thankfully, as I've continued to show up, to be creative, to provide value, I have had those opportunities to expand, and I have total faith that you guys will as well. So hopefully this is inspiring to you. I'd love to hear exactly what your current setup is and exactly what your dream setup would be. Because again, when I was starting out 18 years ago, like even having this camera would have been mind-blowing to me. Having one of these lenses would have been mind-blowing to me. And I am so grateful that the perseverance of continuing to just be creative and bring your vision into the world has the potential to unlock everything that you have ever wanted. So thank you so much for watching. Hopefully it was helpful. If you have any questions, leave a comment below. Don't forget to like and subscribe. And let me know, what's your dream setup?